This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Always follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
We are live in Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Thanks for watching today. As always on YouTube TV, listening, SiriusXM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our affiliates across the country. In this hour, major injury late last night in the NBA. A season ender, unfortunately. We'll tell you about that. And from a gambling standpoint, I think one way to take advantage of it, Chad Andrus on the Broncos and the Patriots. He covers Denver in that great city coming up bottom of the hour. College basketball as well, Pauly. Here, after last night, Indiana winning the title, 16-0. What was that year with Yale going 16-0?
1894,
94, something like that?
Yeah.
Good Lord. So they take it down. Great game. Second half was awesome.
The hell were they doing playing that many games back then?
That's what I'm thinking, too.
Yeah.
We all, in the first hour, by the way, are we sure Mendoza's number one overall? Mark Davis was at the game last night, so there's no way you're going to talk him out of it after that. But is he the guy for that team?
Well, it depends on if offers are going to come in. And would the Jets or someone be crazy enough to do something? Because if I sit there and go 2-15 and I have so many needs, and I'm also setting the kid up to fail immediately because I don't have any weapons other than the tight end, and my old line stinks, what doesn't matter who's playing quarterback.
If the offer is there, you have to take it if you're the Raiders.
Yes.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why not go down to 2, 3, or 4 and take Bain? And then just have more picks, and then maybe that's something the Jets decide to do with the more news.
Brad Powers is on this show on Thursday. I can't wait to talk to him. We'll run down teams that he's looking at.
Texas, I think he bet Texas.
Already? Did he?
Yep.
Well, they're crushing it, so.
Says they did a great job in the portal, and they could be favored. I think he said in almost every game. So a doable schedule, the arch hype again, and he is some spots the favorite to win the Heisman. And I think he gobbled up 9-1,
Okay.
plus 850, I think he said.
All right, so they have done a great job in the portal. Here's their schedule. They play Ohio State at home, rematch from last year. Now, this is going to sound daunting, but it's the overrated SEC that we're talking about, and a bunch of these teams are probably going to fall flat next year. At Tennessee, Oklahoma neutral, Florida at home, Ole Miss at home, at Missouri, at LSU, at A&M. I honestly, it sounds scary because people are so used to, oh my God, weekly grind. They can win 10 games there, 11 games.
Yeah.
I'm not really afraid to death of that schedule. I'll give you one that's absolutely laughable again this year. And according to On3, they have the best, well, they're the number one team in their rankings in the portal. It's Texas Tech. They're 16-1. Their non-conference next year, Abilene Christian, Oregon State, Sam Houston. They'll win those games on average by 48 points.
Yeah.
So their road games are Baylor, Cincy, Colorado, and Oklahoma State. They get Arizona, ASU, TCU, Houston, and West Virginia at home. They should probably be favored to go undefeated next year.
Yeah. Upgrade a quarterback, too.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana is 7. On3 has them number 2 overall in the transfer portal. North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky in the non-conference. Oh. But they play Ohio State, USC at home. They're at Michigan, Nebraska, and Washington.
Okay, that was the other one I missed. Right. I nailed Nebraska and Washington. At Michigan. Okay. Well, even if he loses 2 games, they're going to be in.
Which team out of the Big Ten does it next year?
Does what?
They win the whole thing.
It?
They're kicking ass and taking names.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would look at the big 3 to start. And then can Michigan make it number 4? Which still, imagine if they can get 4 teams in this thing. And you get the run and respect that the SEC gets.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, the only wins they had were when they played one another, if you're not counting the Tulane game. But that's fair that they're going for year 4 in a row, and to try to accomplish this.
Yeah.
But I would still look at the big 3 again, and the big news with Moore coming back, and the Buckeyes are going to be loaded, and I can't bet against Cignetti. But now for a sleeper or a surprise, it's also a schedule is going to be important too with this. which things worked out for A&M, but look how easy that schedule turned out to be once they got into conference play. It was a joke.
They have Arizona State. They're at LSU, Arkansas, at home, at Missouri, at Bama, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, and Texas. That's Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're a playoff team next year. They're number 3 and on 3's portal rankings.
How about Kiffin? You get Levitt, but that's a brutal schedule for LSU. And my point earlier is I still want to see what happens with Ole Miss. Who's the quarterback of Miami? What happens with this Mensa news?
Mm-hmm.
And that's good because imagine if Chambliss is able to come back for a 6th year, what that means for Ole Miss.
Be huge.
They're definitely going to be in the mix.
LSU is going to open with Clemson again next year. That's going to be at home. They get Bama, Texas, A&M all at home. They're at Ole Miss. Check that. Who'd you mention there? What team am I on? I think I had my teams mixed up. I'm sorry
LSU?
about that. LSU. Okay, that is LSU.
Yeah,
at Ole Miss, at Auburn, at Tennessee, and at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Here's a team.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to bet this number right now, and I don't think. I mean, they're plus 750 or plus 650 from the books I looked at. It's Notre Dame. They have a lot of talent back,
and this rule goes into place now. If they finish in the top 12, they're automatically in.
They're number 9 right now in the portal rankings at on 3. They open with Wisconsin. That's at Lambeau. Wisconsin's actually done a pretty good job in the portal, but Notre Dame will probably be big favorites in that game. They're at North Carolina, at Navy, at BYU. That'll be a tough one. They get SMU and Miami at home. They might be the number 1 overall seed next year. I think that it's absolutely manageable for this team to go the season and maybe lose 1 game. And I like Freeman as a coach a lot.
Mm-hmm. Your question earlier, though, about who could, I don't think this Indiana thing, they just think it was an all-time coaching job. And you just can't say, here comes a long shot, here comes another 100-1. I mean, it doesn't happen. And Evan Ames with that great tweet about it rarely happens in every sport combined. Like the 99 Rams, the 1991 Minnesota Twins. I mean, it was just, that doesn't happen in their sport, and it rarely happens in the big 4 sports, period, what they're able to do. I just think it was, you get the key transfer at quarterback, you have the best coach, all the breaks went your way with the close games, and then you rose to the occasion, and you were at your best against Bama and Oregon, and made all the key 4th down plays, and the special teams went your way last night. So to go 16-0, I don't think you can say, well, this team has this coach coming in, they're 200-1, and just, even though TCU made it that year, they got embarrassed and the game was over 5 minutes in against Georgia.
That's right.
I just think the Cignetti is once in a lifetime, and what he's done, and rightfully so, calling for the movie.
I'll give you the no coach angle here with a long shot. They're 400-1. Their road games are at Clemson, SMU, Miami, Boston College, Cal, and Maryland. They're number 5 right now in on 3's transfer portal rankings. They have a new coach. That coach is James Franklin.
Yeah. Now, that's where you the best way to phrase it, who's this year's Texas Tech? We come in 300-1, spend some money, have a good coach, get a decent quarterback, and then you can make the playoff and at least hedge.
Yeah, I think right there, that would be an example of that with Vodtek. But you have to go to war with that guy as your head coach. He's the exact opposite of Kurt Cignetti.
Yeah. You got to think Houston could pull this off?
Well, they're 500-1, doing a really good job in the portal.
They had a good year last year. Yeah.
I would also kind of look at those conferences as well that were just to get in. I think, what about SMU again?
Yep.
In the ACC. And they're going to spend...
They had a weird year.
Yeah. They
beat Miami, and then they had close losses. You got beat at home against Baylor. I thought they were going to be a playoff team this year. And they certainly underperformed. That was a surprise.
Well, tell me why you think Miami's going to go anywhere. Aren't they going to be a player now forever moving forward?
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
Oh, they're back. No doubt about it.
And so they're going to spend money at now Duke is suing Mensa, but that's going to be the landing spot if he gets to go there and be the new. But they're going to spend every single year a lot of money, millions in fact.
Sure,
for the
you
new
got to
quarterback.
taste again. Yeah,
sure. And then, this is where you have to credit Crystal Ball. He went to a program that was always finesse in Oregon, and he changed the culture there and how they approached playing the game of football because he built them on both lines. And that has continued now in his tenure at Miami, and it's probably gotten even better. And I firmly believe that he is always going to build up the O-line and the D-line and the trenches for Miami where they're going to be able to match pretty much any team that they play. And that's where they're going to spend, and that's where they're going to recruit heavily. And that's why Miami, with a good quarterback, they're probably going to be players. And I would imagine that they're going to be a perennial playoff team. If the defense was a little bit better last year, they probably would have made the playoffs. Because Cam Ward was so good at quarterback, obviously.
Yep.
Pro Football Focus, now everybody's doing this today, but they have Oregon as the number 1 team next year going in. But that's...
Yeah, but that's kind of what Cignetti was talking about last night, about it's a new world and the sport has changed and everyone has a chance. If you have the resources and the administration decides to go for it and you get some big-time boosters, SMU, what Cuban's done, the alumni base with Indiana. But look at the Miami situation. They couldn't stop anything last year. You get the new defensive coordinator comes in, add some more talent. Next thing you know, they're unbelievable. And they take you to the almost the national title, almost win the whole thing rather than you go to the title game. I mean, it was you couldn't count on them in a big spot at all last year, how bad they were.
And by the way,
it wasted an all-time season by Ward.
And how good was the defense overall, though, this year? We saw it again last night.
Well, the 14-2 underrun first half, yeah, that says it all. NFL players, speed, like Saban said, all the talent, watch out if they get in the playoff. And what Cignetti said, we couldn't block them. Couldn't protect the quarterback all night.
Yeah, this is a team in Indiana that just beat Alabama and Oregon by combined 100 points. The games were never close, ever. And now Miami, if they changed a couple of things and if they didn't make so many countless, mistakes last night, they had a great chance to win that game overall.
Tackles for loss, too, and the speed. I didn't understand the cushion in the first half, and then the special teams mistakes as well.
All right, we had a major injury late last night in the NBA, a season ender. You can attack it in the future market with some plus money as we speak. Tell you what that is coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Every sport is a battle of attrition throughout the entire year. Last night, horrible news for the Warriors. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. He is out for the year. I don't know, it just feels like...
You knew it when it happened.
Oh, you could tell right away.
He screamed, and everyone knew what happened with Golden State and gathered around him, and that one was tough to watch.
So they play again tonight. As of right now, when you look at the Western Conference standings, and again, if you finish top 6, you're a playoff team. If you finish beyond that, all the way down to 10, you make the play-in. They are right now the 8 seed, and they are a game and a half back of the 6. They are 3 games ahead of Portland for the 9, and 5 ahead of the Clippers as well. So
we've won 12 of 14. Here they come.
Getting much better.
Yeah.
And the Grizzlies are also in the mix, I got to say that.
I think they trade Ja, and then they might just rebuild. Who knows? Who else they trade too. So I think they're not gonna make it and fall back. But the door's open for the Clippers now, and certainly I would add more Suns to win the division with this news.
They have turned in odds-on favorite when I looked this morning.
Yep. And the Lakers are in Denver tonight, but they were going to be players at the deadline, and now I don't know what Lacob's going to do. Because Kuminga wanted out. You were going to add pieces. They were playing so well. And now one of your key stars goes down for the season.
Right. So how do they possibly patch it together now and add a piece to make up for the Butler loss? They can't do it. They don't. I mean, they have they have their pick like in 2029. Then you have to match salaries. I think this is who they are, and they just have to try to make it work with Curry dominating every game. So here's the play, right?
It's like the Cavs. It's like you got to make this work. You're in the second apron. You can't make a trade that makes sense. You don't have enough. You can't make it work. You got to. You got to sit here and ride it out and get it together. Like Brunson had the players-only meeting today. It's like we got to figure this out. We can't. We win the NBA Cup, and now we're a disaster and a mess, and we're looking at the play-in if we keep losing games.
So we're talking about now in this division alone, right? In the Pacific, the remaining SOS for all these teams. The Warriors for the rest of the year have the 4th most difficult schedule in the league. Now, the Suns are right behind them at number 6. The Lakers are 7th. Clippers have the 9th easiest. Blazers have the 3rd easiest. I think if you bet right now the Warriors to miss the playoffs at plus 160, are they going to climb?
Portland's playing well.
Are they really going to be finish top 6 and be a playoff team? Or are they going to finish like 9 or 10 and have to win a couple of games to get into the playoffs? And plus 160 to me says that's worth a bet. And especially if they were to get like the Clippers in the play-in game with a healthy Kawhi. Now that's a big if.
Well, I think they're like the Steelers. Lakeup is like Rooney. Rooney, I don't like that term, rebuild. We don't do that here. He charges so much money for tickets and how expensive it is to go to Warrior games. I don't think they're going to punt. And
I don't think they will either.
He'll try to do something, but I still think they have enough where they can at least sneak into that 9-10 seed. But this is tough because they were playing so well and they were going to add pieces and then would have been a player come May, I think.
They are hosting the Toronto Raptors tonight. It's a back-to-back for Golden State. They're 4-4 ATS in that situation on the year. They're also 13-15 straight up, 7-20-1 ATS playing at home for the 3rd time in 4 days going back to November of 2023. They're 3.5 in this game tonight. Are they a little demoralized tonight? Do they come out and say, here's our A-plus game 24 hours after the Butler news? Toronto's a good basketball team.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of guys that can score. And no Horford, Green's supposed to play. And maybe I could make the case for the over, though, in this one, in a high-scoring game.
I have not touched it. Okay, you think high-scoring maybe?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Spurs are playing at the Rockets. Again, this is a back-to-back for San Antonio. They are 5-2 straight up in ATS in this situation. They're also 6-1 under on a back-to-back this year. And NBA, this is from Steve Mackin and VSiN.com. NBA teams playing in a home-to-away back-to-back scenario. That's the Spurs. At home yesterday, on the road tonight. 7-13 straight up, 6-14 ATS against teams in their 4th home day game in 6 days. That's Houston. They're laying 4.5 in this spot. I got to check the injury report. Haven't had a chance to do that since the beginning of the show. If my thought on this game is, I
think Easton's out.
Is he was questionable last check?
Let me look.
If he's out, I'm intrigued by Reed Shepherd 3-point props tonight. But I can't quit Reed Shepherd. It's like last check 2.5 over that was plus 155. I think that's a pretty good number.
All right, good card. You mentioned we'll get to it later coming up. You mentioned war of attrition, and earlier we talked about number one. And maybe we go 3, 4, 5 years from now, we're going to have football 9 months. Who knows? The Super Bowl next year's on Valentine's, and the national title game is January 25th out here. Bob Kraft was just on 98.5, the Sports Hub. It's going to happen. Every team is going to play 18 regular season games and 2 in the preseason. Mike Florio, I retweeted the article on X. Florio took it a step further. Why not? We're just going to go to 20-0 then. No preseason, 20 regular season games. As Kraft pointed out, 93 of the top 100 programs on TV are NFL games. The Amazon playoff game, 31 million people streamed it. Goodell also wants to play 18 international games. So Kraft says 18 regular season, 2 preseason. Every team will have to play 1 game overseas. Grow the brand, grow the sport. It's so important to have international games now, he said, talking to the other owners.
So does that mean then 1 game overseas on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
That's going to be the deal?
We have to go 2 buys then.
Oh, did they ever mention that?
No, they didn't, but you have to.
It's an automatic.
Yeah. If everyone's got to play overseas and we're going 18-2, so then let's start this thing late August, and then we will go to the middle of February.
Right. Why did Florio bring that up?
Bring up the 20-0?
Is that his opinion, or did he hear something like that?
The key to increasing revenue is to increase inventory. 16 became 17. 17 will become 18. Eventually, 18 will become 20. The logic is simple, even if some would say it's flawed. The NFL has played 20 total games per team for decades. Prior to 1978, the split was 14-6. It moved to 16-4. Now it's 17-3. Kraft says 18-2 coming. Under that reasoning, 20 regular season games and no preseason games is a natural extension of the existing framework. If people can't get enough of football and the ratings are through the roof and 93 of the top 100 rated programs are NFL games, and you put, the bidding war, Amazon, Netflix, come on in, Peacock, whatever, primetime game, playoff game, 31 million people stream it. Oh. Just give me more and more and more and more in bidding wars.
Are we getting carried away with the idea of going to 20? Is that not too many in the regular season?
Everyone hates the preseason, though.
I mean, I thought 16 games was enough, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So that goes back to your war of attrition. I guess I wouldn't have a problem with it, but you're going to have seasons decided by who's just standing when we get to that late point in the season.
So, okay, I'm for 18 if they go to 2 buys. Like, that's an automatic. That has to be a given, a part of it. So then are they going to end the season? I think ultimately what Goodell wants to do, right, is end the season so then Monday's President's Day, and it's a national holiday.
Perfect, yeah.
And then everybody's off for the most part anyway. I think this sounds like would it push it beyond President's Day? Is this thing going to touch like March Madness at some point?
No, I don't know if we'll go that far, because we still have you're taking away the preseason game, just going to 18. So the schedule, I guess, stays the same. But if you add the bye, then we go back. If there's 2 buys, which there has to be 2 buys.
Well, here you go. If a guy like Robert Kraft is pushing for it, I'm guessing Jerry Jones is going to be all for it. And owners, obviously, Goodell works for the owners of the teams. They're going to get what they want down the road, and they're not going to be able to deny the money. And it's like as simple as this.
Yeah, you're right. It's all sports. People can't get enough of sports and all these programs and streaming. Look at the deal that the NBA signed.
I know.
And what Amazon paid for all that and NBC.
And here's the litmus test that they already had. And once they realized how many people are going to watch on Christmas Day, they're never going to go back to not playing on Christmas. They will force that down our throats on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday during the week.
Cuban was wrong. You can't keep doing this. You're going to play Monday, Thursday, Saturday games, Sunday.
It's a bit much.
But it's people say, give me more, though. Can't get enough of it.
Oh.
And I think we're headed to, I think Florio's right. It's going to take some time, but we could be looking at 20-0 with the split, and we do away with the preseason. Football meets flavor with Visa and Omaha Steaks, the official sponsor of tailgating. And right now, when you spend $129, you get 2 pounds of fully cooked wings, plus 50% off site-wide omahasteaks.com/Visa and delivered right to your door. Incredible menu and selection. Check it out, omahasteaks.com. Minimum purchase required. See the site for details.
That's going to throw a wrench into everything we know about win totals or think about them.
Well, also imagine having a 6:30 game every week.
Yeah, no question. But that's, man, oh man.
Like you're tied up from 6:30 to 8 at night.
Every single week.
That's right.
And then 3, 4, 5 days a week. We're going to discuss the AFC title game coming up. Chad Andrus on the program covers a team for 104.3, The Fan in Denver. We know about the Stidham situation at quarterback now. What about the other injuries that happened on Saturday, actually, against Buffalo? We'll ask them coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll hit the AFC title game here. Broncos now home dogs. 4.5 is the number. New England favorite at Circa. Westgate, some other books. DK and FanDuel right now at 5.5 on the game. And we go out to the progressive guest line. Chad Andrus joins the program now. He covers the Denver Broncos for 104.3 The Fan in Denver. Hey, Chad, good afternoon. Thanks for the time, pal. How are you?
I'm well, gentlemen. Very well. Looking forward to this week. It should be an interesting one.
What was your overall reaction? Because you knew the look-ahead line, right? It was Denver minus 1.5 with a healthy Bo Nix against New England. And then you saw it pop 6 after the Patriots beat Houston on Sunday. Did you think that was too much?
Yeah, I do think it's too much. I think that's a little bit disrespectful to Sean Payton and probably the home field advantage that they enjoy here. And I think it was made note of in the room. I'll just say that. Sean Payton will use anything he can to make it feel like you're slighting him or it's him against the world. And I promise he took notice of that. I think it has the makings of what is going to be another close game because that's who the Denver Broncos are. They play to their level of their competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a 12-2 record in one-score games as well. Were you surprised right away the confidence he expressed in Stidham? And do you think that's genuine and will show up on Sunday that Stidham will have a good performance?
I do think it's mostly genuine. I do think it's also part of sending a message to his team and his quarterback right away that I'm going to get out in front of this and we're going to move forward business as usual. So I think it's part both. But Jarrett Stidham is a guy that he likes. And Jarrett Stidham is a guy, and look, I know we don't put any stock in preseason, but he was incredible in preseason. And when we watched training camp this year, everybody would kind of scratch their head and look around and go, this offense, man, like, what is this offense? The only time the offense looked like it was credible or a reasonable, competitive offense in the NFL all year was when Jarrett Stidham was running it, not when Bo Nix was running it. And again, that's training camp. That's preseason. It doesn't mean a whole lot going to the AFC Championship game. But he's been around here long enough, and he's been around here to know that the mistakes that Russell Wilson made that drove Sean Payton crazy and the reason why Bo Nix is playing make a huge difference in this offense. And I think he knows that Sean Payton, first and foremost, wants a guy who is going to protect the football. And that's going to be priority number one.
Okay. Who's he going to be throwing to? What does the wide receiver room look like?
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about an MVP of the Bills game? How about the doctor in the blue tent that cleared Marvin Mims of the concussion protocol after the opening kickoff? He went in the tent after returning the opening kick. If he's out and then Bryant goes out and Franklin goes out, what do you got left? You'd be playing with two wide receivers. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Franklin is likely at all because it's a hamstring. That seems like a stretch. I think they're hopeful that Pat Bryant can play. This will be an interesting one to me because he's had two concussions in the last three games he's played. That doesn't seem like a guy that would be out there the week after the second one. But they seem to be hopeful that he can get through the protocol and play, which would be a big difference for them because if he's not, I think they're going to have to activate like Elijah Moore or somebody off of the practice squad to be a fourth receiver.
Okay, wow, watch out for props then, obviously. What about the running back room? Do you think Dobbins is actually going to be activated?
So before the Week 18 game against the Chargers, Dobbins was walking into the tunnel, and a fan said, JK, you going to be ready for the Super Bowl? And he turned and he looked up at him and he said, Sooner. Well, there's only one game left for Sooner. So Dobbins has been thinking he was going to be back the whole time. Here's the issue, guys. He went out in Week 10 against the Raiders. By the way, before that, he was averaging 5.2 yards per carry in his career, which at the time was the best since he entered the league. That's how good of a running back he's been. It wasn't Saquon or McCaffrey or anybody else, Jonathan Taylor. It was him. He thinks he's going to be back, but that's been 3 months. This is normally a 6 to 8 month injury. Brandon Stokely on our radio station said of the 4 major injuries he had in his career, that was by far the worst one and took the longest to recover. So I think Dobbins wants to play. The challenge is if he's activated, who do they inactivate? Because Tyler Bidet is their best pass protector, and you got a backup quarterback playing. R.J. Harvey is playing, and Jaleel McLaughlin, guys, Sean Payton hates running the ball. He refuses to use him. For his last 4 games, 7.4 yards per carry against Jacksonville, 5.7 against Kansas City, 6.8 against the Chargers, 5.3 against the Bills. Are you going to take him out when you might need to run the ball to put in a guy whose foot might not be healthy?
All right, fair enough. Great. I think that's the battle of the game, right? Because Denver's offensive line has been so good the entire year, but we see this with New England's defensive front. When they have Milton Williams and everybody healthy, good luck running on them.
Yeah, and for Denver, it's not that they can't run the ball, especially if Dobbins is playing. Look, the left side of their offensive line are both all pros and minors and bowls. It's that Sean Payton won't do it.
Yeah.
He's too impatient. He doesn't like it. And if you go back the last couple of weeks of the season when they were playing Oladokin and they were playing Trey Lance, because of the way the games were going, he actually had a quote when he was questioned about the play calling and not being able to score and blow those teams out. He said, in some situations, you become more run tolerant. He used the word tolerant. He tolerates running the football. He doesn't want to play that way, but he tolerates it because sometimes you have to do it.
Great points. Great quote as well. I couldn't believe that they didn't have a running back. A second carry for a running back occurred 3 minutes into the second quarter against a team that was 28th against the run. It was astonishing. What do you make of this New England team that seemingly catches breaks every week?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, boy, if only those sports teams in that region could ever catch a break. Geez. If that's fate, if that's destiny, if that's witchcraft, I don't know what it is. Here everybody is hoping that, they will think they caught a break and Jarrett Stidham will make them pay. I think that's more hope than it is based in reality. But sometimes, right? And sometimes you get hot, right? Sometimes everything goes your way and the dice are hitting your numbers. And it seems to be that way week in and week out for the Patriots. I mean, Paul, I heard you saying, well, what happens if the Seahawks win and Darnold gets hurt and they play Drew Lock in the Super Bowl? Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question. I think you have to consider all things with the way things have gone for them.
Yeah, follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Chad Andrus, he's on the Progressive Guest Line. Covers the Denver Broncos for 104.3 The Fan. Let me ask you this about the Broncos defense. You go back, final day of November. They almost got beat by Marcus Mariota in overtime. They won that game 27-26. The Green Bay game, Love and company were going up and down the field, and the Parsons injury happens. Denver came back to win the game. They got spanked at home to Jacksonville. That game was not close, and they gave up 30 to Buffalo. I get it, the 5 turnovers, but Buffalo never punted in the game. How concerned are you overall about that unit?
Zach Allen, he's elite. Nick Benito gets to the quarterback faster than anyone in the league, and he Josh Allen twice. Like, they have great players, but they have an elite pass rush. But people too often mistake that for a great defense. And the defense is not good. I mean, that narrative has been proven false. And I think the big thing here is Patriots were 13th in pass block win rate. The Broncos were 3rd in pass rush win rank. So if the Broncos can adjust and figure out a different way to stop the run, because that should be the Patriots game plan. They should start and just run it down their throat until Denver stops them. If Denver can figure that out, then they can put themselves in the game and let their defense be in position to make a play. But usually you got to play with a lead for your pass rushers to be effective. I don't know that they're going to play with a lead because New England should be able to line up with Henderson and Stevenson and just run it down their throat.
Ultimately, how do you think this game plays out at the end of the day? Who do you think covers? Who do you think wins?
In terms of what I'm looking at, I'll start there. For props, I'm staying completely away from Denver because you just don't know what you're going to get with Stidham or Sean Payton. I do think there's some opportunities with New England, particularly Henderson, 50-plus yards, I think, is at plus money. So if he pops one, you're basically there. I think Hunter Henry can work the middle of the field and has a real good chance to go over 50 yards. But, guys, Patriots are 0-4 in Denver in the playoffs, including Tom Brady throwing 2 enormous picks in an AFC Championship game to Aqib Talib and one to Champ Bailey. That was a 100-yard return in a divisional game. They've never won here. So I do think there is a bit of a bugaboo. In fact, the only time they beat the Broncos in the playoffs was the ultimate mismatch. It was Tebow at Brady. I mean, doesn't get any worse than that.
Yeah.
I have a lean to the Patriots in this one, but again, because of the breaks they've had, because of the schedule they've had, I'm still not inclined to really trust them. So I do think it would be close, and if you can get that 5 or 5.5 with the Broncos, I would lean that way.
Chad, in like 30 seconds here, how long did it take after the Knicks news came out for you to hear somebody bring up maybe they should reach out to Tebow about coming back?
I heard Peyton Manning. I heard Drew Brees.
That's a good one.
I did not hear Tebow. Thank God.
You didn't? Okay.
Right.
Thank God. All right.
Yeah.
You can follow Chad on X. He's at Chad Andrus, Andrus. Covers the Broncos for 104.3 The Fan in Denver. Thanks, buddy. Enjoy the game this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Well done. Brady, that one still bothers him. He lost to Jake Plummer. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
The pick 6, and he's right about it's been a house of horrors.
Fun card tonight, college basketball. Miami, Ohio will try to remain undefeated. but they're on the road against the toughest opponent left on their schedule. We'll discuss next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, good schedule tonight in college basketball. Bunch of ranked teams are in action. I have a bet on one of the games I'll tell you about here in a minute. I wanted to get involved with this Miami game against Kent State. Miami is one of the very few undefeated teams remaining yet in college basketball, and it's been a great story. They've also been a little fortunate. They had that buzzer beater to force overtime against Buffalo. They eventually won. Kent State took them to overtime, I think it was last year when they played. So the deal with this game is that, well, Miami's ranked now.
Yes.
Kent State's not. Kent State is favored at DK. They're 1.5. And all these projection sites, they have Miami favored in the game up to as high as 4.5 points here for the spot tonight.
I don't like, I could see the storm coming where you mentioned that finally they get their respect, finally they're ranked, and then they would go out and stub their toe. So number one, surprised they're an underdog. Number two, 5-point move on the total. Bigger than that in some spots.
Uh-huh.
It's 166.5 down the street at the Westgate. It opened 172.5. So they're fun, they can score, but this is life as the little guy in mid-major. Even though they're 19-0, Lenardi has them an 11 seed in bracketology.
So I think with the 11 seed, what would they be if they ran the table overall?
Yeah, you're right. 8 or 9, probably best case. Undefeated, yeah.
So I think the problem here for Miami is going to be there's a chance they're going to get really dominated on the glass. Kent State is very good with rebounding.
Is this the best team left on their schedule?
Yes. When you look at like the Ken Pom projections, it's the closest game they have remaining. So we'll go with that. Kent State has a player, Gillespie, Delrico Gillespie, who's been with the program for 4 years. He's dynamite on the glass. He had 12 against them last year. The game did go to overtime, and that team, Kent State, they grabbed half of their misses overall. And Miami, they have shot makers galore. They also have like the number one effective field goal percentage out of any team in the entire country. And they've been hitting big shots like in high leverage, big, pressure moments. That can't continue for the entire year. So Kent State's 14-4 on the year. For a MAC team, absolutely not chopped liver. And I think if Miami's going to lose, this is going to have to be the game.
Yep, there's your number one angle with ranked, unranked, and favored, rather. A lot of good stories like that. St. Louis, they are ranked 24th now. They're 17-1. They're safely in the field, according to Lenardi.
Where does he have them?
8-9. And George Mason won again. They're 18-1 on the season. So that's going to be a fun conference tournament in the A-10. But also George Mason currently an 11 seed in Lenardi's bracketology.
Okay.
So it's a whole different ballgame with these guys that it's kind of like San Diego last year. They won 31-3, but weren't getting in if they lost in their conference tournament. Yep.
Big game tonight in the SEC. Vandy has been an awesome story. That game against Florida last week was exceptional. They're playing at Arkansas, and the Razorbacks have a handful of losses this year. Every one has been either neutral or away.
I had someone reach out in September and said, you got to take futures on Arkansas. What do you think?
To win the whole thing?
Yes.
And now Vandy's actually favored, huh? In this game here at Circa. No, I can't because it's John Calipari.
Is it? Okay.
So,
he did a good job last year.
Guess what? He's got really good talent.
Yeah.
Acuff is awesome. He's one of the best players in the country. So now I have a bet on Arkansas money line. I laid 20 cents. I'm on the opposite side of that right now here because Circa moved the other way. That's no good for me. Their losses on the year. Michigan State by 3. They lost to Duke on a neutral. They lost to Houston by 9 on a neutral. That was a good game. They got blown out on the road against Auburn, and they lost by Georgia in their last game by 14. When they're at home, which is where they're at tonight, they have a 9-point win over Louisville. On a neutral, they beat Texas Tech. They beat Tennessee at home, and they walloped South Carolina. That's not saying much. but they took them out in a body bag by 34 points in their last game at home. I do trust them in this home spot tonight to get the win, hence me betting them on the money line.
Michigan's laying too many points. They still haven't shown me that they're the team that was going to run away with this and just blow out people in that stretch there where they're winning every game by 30 points. So they did win by 11 at Oregon, but that was a 2-point game at the half, I believe, their last game. So now to be coming back and you're laying 16, 17 against Indiana, I think that's too many points until Michigan shows they're that freight train that they were. And it's come down. It was 17.5 opener or 15.5 at DK with the best number there. There's also a 15.5 at Caesars. But until they can show that they're this awesome team that they were in the non-conference, I got to keep going against them.
Sure. Again, very tough to play at that level they were at for an entire season.
Yes.
And then the numbers are going to get inflated, and you got to cover 16, 17, 18 points.
But they almost lost these games. That's the other thing.
Sure, yeah.
You're laying 24 at Penn State, you survive. You lost laying 18 against Wisconsin. You were laying that big number against Oregon, tight at the half, and now you're laying 17 tonight.
Yep. Here's another game where you have a ranked team on the road against an unranked team. It's also in the SEC, Georgia, but they can play in some high-scoring affairs, by the way. So they're at Missouri tonight, and you look at Bart Torvik, you look at Greg Peterson at vsin.com. They all have Georgia favored. Peterson has them a 3-point favorite. Torvik has them winning the game by 1 with the simulations. DK has Missouri minus 1.5. It's that whole angle of unranked at home against a ranked team. And now pick them here at Circa. Total is 164. Georgia, like I said, Georgia plays. I could only look at the over here in this game. That's it. And then late night tonight, this is 10 o'clock Eastern on Peacock. Purdue is going to play at UCLA. I don't have a strong opinion on this game. And looking at the sites again, they're pretty much all where the number's at here. I want to see how it's going to look for Purdue traveling out to the West Coast and playing at UCLA. Our buddy Chris, who has a great feel in the pulse of Clemson, he's been on them recently when they're playing better. He's got an angle tonight as they're at home laying a small number against NC State. Will Wade is the coach now at NC State. Last year, the team that he was with took out Clemson in the tournament. And Chris is telling us no bad blood at all here. Is that the saying? What's the cliche that or there is bad blood.
Okay.
There is bad blood.
Yeah.
That's the saying that I'm going for here. I hate cliches. I don't know why I go to them once in a while. So, and it's going to be a huge crowd tonight for Clemson at home, and they're going to be riled up for the game with the fan base. And so, anyway, there's that angle. And they're playing good basketball right now, Clemson.
Did you see what happened yesterday in the Stephen F. Austin game? That
Negative.
opened 3.5. It went to Nicholls State 7. MGM pulled the game off the board, and then it went all the way back to the original line, and Austin buried them.
It went to 7 and then came all the way back to 2.
And it went all the way back to where the number was originally. And still, they killed them.
Oh, my God.
But there's so much weird stuff going on off the court, and then with these crazy moves, like you mentioned that game where what was the first half? The game was 18. The first half was 4?
I think the game was 16 or 16.5. The first half crashed all the way down to like 4.5.
I mean, it's a Nicholls State game, and at one book, it's mid-6-figure handle. I mean, what's going on? It's nuts.
Is that right?
Yeah, they pulled the game off the board at one point. They're like, what is this? This is nonsense. Something's up?
The only thing that comes to mind is that story that came out last week with the college basketball betting stuff.
Yeah, but when I saw that happen, that didn't make sense, though. If it goes to Nicholls, okay. 10-point move, Nicholls are going to take care of it. And then it goes back go back to where it was originally, and then Austin pounds them.
Do you know how long that process was? Did you ever hear that? Like it took to go all the way to 7 and then come all the way back?
Didn't hear that, no.
Boy, that's very aggressive moving, but if you're going to get that much money on a game like that.
I know, but what's gone on recently in the news, if some guy comes up and says, give me Nicholls State for $100,000, and someone else is right behind him, you're moving that quick. But then to go all the way back around, I mean, I don't know. Also think of that UFC fight, too, where it's like, I don't care what the number is. I know the outcome is going to be. This guy's going out in the first round.
I will bring this up. JVT and I discussed this earlier today on the latest edition of Pod to the Futures. We only talk about future bets on the podcast, and they're in action tonight. Bill Self is not going to be going. Had some health concerns. So he's not coaching the team tonight. Jacques Vaughn is going to. Kansas is now a 4-point favorite at Colorado. They can lose this game. But going back to last week, my buddy John Curler from my childhood put me on Kansas. And he knows ball. He's good at this.
Uh-huh.
He's like, we need to look at Kansas futures right now. This is after they killed Iowa State, and then they were taking it out on Baylor. I bet them 60-1 to win the national title. This is their schedule. They get BYU on January 31st. They're at Texas Tech. They get Arizona, at Iowa State, Houston, and then at Arizona, all by the end of February. So they have losses coming. Some books moved them down to like 30 or 40-1. I just think they're going to have the best player in the court almost in any scenario.
Your buddy, yeah.
Bucket Jones will be, he's incredible.
Yeah.
So maybe that inflates back up to 60-1 after those losses, but they're going to be tested, I think, come tournament time, obviously. As we continue here on a Tuesday, live in Las Vegas from Circa, it's Follow the Money.